Schedule 1. I woke up inside my RV. First thing to do was learning the basics. Harvesting a fully grown plant, probably some trimmers from the storage. The process was super specific and manual. Next, I had to place the product inside each individual bag and seal it. Then I took the watering can, fill it in the sink, and water the second pot, hitting the right spots. With the plants taken care of, head back to the RV and we'll go from there. I went around looking for the 3 dead drops, earning in total almost $400. The city had tons of different buildings to visit. I even walked by a casino, but it was too early for the opening hours. On my way back to the RV, an explosion. Everything was destroyed. There was a note. Welcome to Highland Point. This is our territory. Don't interfere. TB. I had nothing left. I went to the payphone to talk with my uncle. There's a powerful cartel in town, the Benzie's family. I figured there'd eventually be a problem, but didn't think they'd find it this quickly. Looks like you're gonna need somewhere low-key to stay for a while. Head over to the motel and ask about getting a room. After that, you'll be needing some new equipment. There's a hardware store just northeast of the motel. Grab a grow tent, soil, and watering can. First, I went to meet the motel manager. Managed to rent a room for $75 a week. I went to check it out, and it wasn't much. Had a TV, a bed, storage, and a sink. I needed to go to the hardware store, but it was already too late. Not only was it probably closed, but the curfew was gonna start soon, and the police will arrest me on site. I decided to go to sleep, getting 100 XP to stay. On day 3, I went to the store. There were 2 types of currency, cash and online balance. Customers pay with cash, but most legal shops only accept card. I didn't have enough money in my online balance to buy all that I needed, so I had to visit an ATM. Thankfully, there was one right across the street. I deposited $300 in cash, and while he cleaned the whole kitchen, great man. Then I assigned the packaging station to William, and also told him to make sure the mixing station was full of ingredients. While doing so, junkies kept coming to my door asking me for product. It was a good way of making money without having to go anywhere myself. For some reason, Jonathan said he had nothing to clean. Even when one of the rooms was full of trash, I realized William was super slow to pack things up. It was much quicker if I did it myself. After taking care of the morning deals and seeing Benji, now that I had more people, I wanted to experiment mixing new ingredients to see if I could get a better strain. I went to the gas mart and bought tons of stuff. After working for a while, it never stopped coming. There was so much demand that I started to negotiate for more money. First, $10 extra, then 20, then 30. I even asked for $50 more, for a total of $700 for only 4 units. I was so confident that I asked Ludwig for $100, but he rejected the deal. Maybe because his addiction level was only 61%. The time had finally come. I hired a chemist. They will take care of the mixing station while I was out with the customers. I got home, I met with George. He had the whole suit and everything ready to go. I set up his bed and put him in the station. Earned $2,700 that day. On day 41, I finished setting the new guy up. The workflow was a success. The handler grabbed the ingredients from the shelf, put it on the mixing station, and then the chemist turned it on. Rinse and repeat. With that taken care of, I closed the deals on the streets and gave Benji the old version of the product to finish selling it off. While moving around, I messed up and got too close to the police checkpoint. They wanted to body search me. I had no choice but to escape and hide in my house. This put me on the spot, since I had almost no time to finish the remaining deals. I was barely able to complete them all. Before finishing the day, I bought even more ingredients. But when I arrived home, I realized something went wrong. Turns out that after mixing the ingredients, the chemist put the plant on, and that was when I realized it was open. This shop was added in a recent update. Here, you could sell only legal products and get some money back. A couple hours later, I went to check out my new business. Going through the back door, I found a computer. Here, I could launder up to $2,000 every 24 hours. I got home, the product was done with no problems. I wanted to streamline the process even more. Having to buy more ingredients all the time was too time consuming. I needed to have a place to store large quantities of stock. So I bought more racks at Dan's shop, set them up in the kitchen, and made a big order of 40 units of every ingredient. On day 44, while grinding meeting after meeting, a junkie came out of nowhere. This stuff was really strong. I got the lab, I began making a new batch, mixing the acid, tablets, and phosphorus. I stirred it all, lowered the boiling flask, and poured the mixture into it, raised it again, and started the burner. It was tricky because I had to carefully regulate the temperature until it was just right. Now, it was a matter of waiting 8 hours. By day 53, after mixing one ingredient after the other, I managed to get a new crystal worth over $300. Trying to optimize this as much as I could, I tried jacking up the suggested price on my app. Offers seemed to keep coming, over $400 for only 2 units. To improve my logistics, I bought the golden skateboard, increasing my speed even further. This and the car will be the perfect combo. By day 56, I figured it didn't make sense to keep making plants. It was time to switch to full crystals. I bought the ingredients I needed and then set everything up at the bungalow to automate the process. After ordering some more tablets, I finished mixing my first full batch of pink crystal. That night, I put it on sale at a high price, and the offers started pouring in. On day 58, my first deal was complete. Thought it went well, but then... this thing was like nothing I'd ever seen. I freed my employees from their assigned customers, so I could take the offers myself, and they just kept coming. The clients kept doing this. Junkies continued interrupting me in the middle of meetings, and one of them... my empire was growing with no limits. I realized it when I walked past the tattoo shop and the guy inside looked like this. That single day, I made over $4,000 all by myself. I kept on working until I got a name, Brad Crosby. He could be a new addition to my organization. I hired him and bought a lab oven and a chemistry station. Stock was starting to pile up. That was good. I reached the rank Bagman 1. With 2 ovens working at the same time, that night I sold a total of 16 units, with a profit over $9,000. Now, money was beginning to be a bottleneck. I had over $10,000 in cash without being able to deposit anymore. I could only launder $2,000 daily, while I was earning almost $10K each day, and I wasn't gonna stop there. That night, I had shelves full of ingredients. I assigned both the handler and the chemist a second mixing station. Now, we had 2 batches constantly mixing at the same time, while the bedroom had 2 chemistry stations and ovens processing too. The profits kept growing. By day 65, I had over $15,000 in cash and another $15K in the bank. Time to buy a second business. I went to Ray's Real Estate and bought a post office. It let me launder $4,000 every 24 hours. If you take into account the laundromat, it brings it to a total of $6,000 per day. Next to the office, I stumbled upon a boutique store, another new thing in the recent update. You could buy things like wall-mounted shelves, safes, old clocks, gold bars, and even a golden toilet. After laundering some more money at the laundromat, I thought I was able to afford the next property, the barn, but it cost $25,000. I needed to put in the work. On day 67, the chemist got stuck. I wasn't sure what was going on, so this should fix it. I gave some stock to my distributors, all 3 of them, and also assigned them customers. Back at home, things didn't look good. Thankfully, the next morning, all went back to normal. Day went by without problems. And also, I found out that the Eastern Gas Mart had a loading bay area. When parking there, the items that I bought would be instantly loaded into the trunk directly. Back at home, not again. I tried rearranging the shelf's location. Maybe this way he wouldn't get stuck. It didn't work. Starting to get desperate, I realized I had enough money to get the barn, so I went and bought it. Before moving there, I wanted to fix the workflow in the bungalow first. The problem was, this guy was absolutely broken. I ended up firing him. While waiting for the warehouse to open, I collected the earnings from my distributors and then hired a few more people. Plus, I bought new stations for the new place. On day 71, I met Edward, the new chemist. After setting everything up, it finally worked. Hopefully, he won't get stuck again. Time to see the new place. I got some storage racks on the way at the hardware store. To reach the barn, I had to drive through some dense woods. Place already had 2 loading bays. The employees were waiting outside. Opening the doors, this thing was massive. I set up all the stations as storage, ordered some ingredients online, and while that arrived, I headed to the bungalow. The bad thing about the barn was how far apart it was located from everything. I had to drive across the whole town to get from one place to another. I kept on working, ordering more tablets, going to the barn, and unloading the deliveries. The dead drop was in a new place, all the way south at the gazebo. I did so many deals with Shirley that she now offered me to arrange an in-person meeting for greater quantities. After collecting another drop under the bridge, I put the tablets on the station at the barn, signed the chemist and the handler. Thing is, I forgot to buy beds. Had to make a quick run to the hardware store and get some. Then, I set them upstairs. The workflow was a success. Chemist worked on the chem station and the oven. By collecting the earnings from my workers, I had over $20,000 in cash. Money was going out the window. I kept on laundering. After making sure all employees were getting paid, I got a batch of 20 crystals. The first mix in the barn began. But then, I realized there was a bottleneck. If the same chemist had to take care of the chemistry lab, the oven, and the mixing station, everything slowed down dramatically, taking double the time, if not even more. It was time to grow the team. At 6 p.m., I went to the warehouse and hired a chemist for the bungalow and 2 for the barn and reassigned their stations. In both places, I kept ranking up. I had to set up an in-person meeting with Shirley to buy a big batch of tablets and also order an online delivery from Oscar to the barn. Production quantity was no longer a problem. I had so much that it was piling up, even with my dealers full of clients. Now, if I wanted to get more customers, I needed to rank up, and the way to gain the most experience was to do the deals myself. So, even if I didn't receive any messages, I would actively look for people walking around and offer them some product, stopping them on their tracks, one after the other. That night, I got around 350 XP. For comparison, the next day, I didn't do any additional deals. I just put all the ingredients in the barn from the online delivery and kept on shopping. That night, I only got 125 experience points. So, with that in mind, I took away the customers from my people and sold products to every single person I came across in town by myself. At the end of the day, I won over 400 XP, reaching Bagman 5 and unlocking the brick press and high-quality tablets. I continued closing deals and selling the stuff I had to clear my stock before moving to the high-quality stuff. At one point, the police body searched me and I had my inventory full of stuff. I have no idea how, but I managed to hide everything and pass by unnoticed. Got over 400 XP that night too. Locked in, I kept grinding, reaching Enforcer 1, unlocking the Cauldron, but most importantly, the docks, a new region with 9 potential customers, 1 distributor and 1 supplier. That meant new product. On day 84, I began unlocking new clients. First, Cranky Frank. Second, the mechanic. All was going good until Lisa Gardner didn't like my sample. And then, all the way south, I encountered a police checkpoint. Going past it, I met with another potential customer, but we were right in front of the officers and we got seen. Had to run and hide. I managed to lose the heat, but then Mark sat in a bus stop right in front of the checkpoint. There was no bus to take. Why was he even there? I later managed to meet him down the street, but he didn't like my sample either. The thing was, I needed him to get to the supplier. The next day, on my way to laundering some money, this happened. Thank God there was an unstuck button. Later on, I met with Javier. He liked my product. Fortunately, he was the other person who could get me a meeting with a new supplier too. I tried again with Mac, but no luck. Didn't matter. I only needed to befriend one of them. I went back with Lisa Gardner. This time, I managed to convince her. Next, Melissa. She didn't like it. Thanks to offering Javier some product with a heavy discount, our relationship went up to a neutral level. He didn't seem to have any favorite defects, and his addiction levels were low, so it was just a matter of patience. After that, I managed to convince Melissa with another sample. This was huge, because she was friends with the distributor in the region. Mac still didn't like my stuff. And not only that, Javier refused my offer. He didn't even want something for free. I thought I maybe could cook something specifically suited for Mac's taste. Something focused, spicy, and long-faced. I bought the ingredients at the gas station. Back at the bungalow, I mixed the stuff. Getting something spicy and long-faced. Didn't manage to get the focused effect though, but I figured this should be enough. Before going to see Mac, I had to take care of a deal that was right next to a police checkpoint again, but this one was even worse. I had to sneak right in front of them and deliver the goods between the trees. I have no idea how we did not get caught. Following this, I talked with Javier. This time, he accepted the offer. And not only that, he told me about a guy called Salvador, the supplier. He could hook me up with seeds for the new product. I ordered a dead drop for 10 units. While waiting, I decided to give Mac the crystal I specially made for him. But then, I gave up. I have no idea how to please this guy. As I was now going to move to a new production line, I needed new equipment. But the warehouse only opened after 6 p.m. Thing is, something weird happened. A junkie came to me asking for product. While doing so, she seemed to have opened the door, and I was able to get inside. Even if it was plain daytime at 2 p.m., I took advantage of this and bought a cauldron, a big press, drying rack, full spectrum grow light, suspension rack, and extra long life soil. We were going to the next level. At the location of the drop, gazebo in a residential park. Went there and grabbed the package. Time to sleep. On day 89, I installed the cauldron. Here is where I put the leaves and use gasoline to power it up. Then, the brick press. It required 20 units to make one pack. The drying rack will let me put leaves and improve their quality. And the suspension rack holds the light that helps the plant grow faster. I didn't have any pots, so I went to check the nearby store. Unfortunately, it didn't have any for sale. But there were grow tents. I bought one and set it up. I don't think the new light worked with this, but it was enough for a test run. I cut the bag, put in the soil, then the seed. Back to the store, I got a pot sprinkler and the can, set it up, and it was great. Just with one tap, the whole thing was watered. This product took so much longer to grow, real slow. If I had some proper pots, probably the light will make this faster. I went to check Dan's store, but he didn't sell any either. Last option was Oscar, but he didn't put it for sale in his online shop. I had to wait till 6 p.m. to go to the warehouse. There, I bought some air pots, which were pricier but improved plant growth by 15%, and also some sprinklers, soil, and the packaging station. Last but not least, I hired a botanist. The next morning, the pot only grew by 29%. This definitely needed improvement. I assigned the bed to Ryan and then set up a rack with supplies. With that done, the new hire began working on the pot, putting the soil, preparing the seed, and watering it. I realized the sprinkler was a waste, by the way. He just used a watering can. Not sure if the plant was growing any faster though. In any case, I set up the rest of the pots and went to sleep. On day 91, I realized that the plants wouldn't grow at all if they didn't have a light, which makes perfect sense now thinking about it. I went and bought some more suspension racks and lights at the warehouse, set it all up. After using the trimmers to harvest the plant, I got a total of 15 leaves, and the next day we got 80 total. Time to put them in the drying rack. This would take almost 12 hours to transform it into a better tier quality. Meanwhile, the leftover crystals were still mixing. Although, I wanted to make another batch of leaves without the drying rack to see how much of a difference there was in price and sales. I went to the cauldron, put the leaves inside, and poured all the gasoline. Then let the machine do its work. It would take around 6 hours. I needed to plant a new batch, so I paid my debt with Salvador, ordered some seeds, grabbed them at the dead drop, put it in the storage shelves, and then checked the cauldron to get the processed ingredient. Last but not least, I needed to cook it in the oven. The leaves on the rack were still drying. I'm not even in the next tier yet, so I put a couple more stacks in the cauldron. Following this, I bought more equipment to scale the operation. Even hired another botanist. Spent a good amount of time reorganizing the place and fitting all the new equipment. There was a lot to do, but then I had the final product. Without stopping, I put another batch to cook. I assigned the new botanist a bed and a supplies rack, plus the pots. Then I ordered even more seeds, bought some more soil, and struggled a bit trying to get the new employee to start working. I also had to buy some beds. Next morning, I had a meeting with Melissa, and she introduced me to her friend Jane Lucero, the new distributor. I hired her, assigned customers, and gave some stock. I also grabbed the new seeds. I kept ordering even more. The last step remaining was to mix the powder. I took the truck to the loading bay of the gas mart and loaded it up with ingredients. Back at the barn, I put the gas in the cauldrons, turned them all on, and then began mixing. One thing after the other, until I got a product worth $735. Next was mass production. I assigned the workers to take care of the mixing process with 2 machines at the same time. Grabbed a dead drop, ordered more seeds, and finally got my first full stack of my most valued creation. My magnum opus was done. The highest selling product ever. I put one in a bag and then went to the brick press for the powder and pressed it into a brick. I put it on sale for the maximum price available. I got an offer straight away from Meg Cooley. 1 unit for over $1,100. I met with her and sealed the deal. But this was only the beginning. I had the product, but I needed to go to the next level, improve my workflow, my stations, the efficiency, reach new heights, and expand my empire to every corner of this city. These were my 100 days in Schedule 1.